First Carrier, now Ford. Donald Trump is yet again declaring a fake victory on saving jobs. He's taking credit for creating or saving a small number of jobs. This time it's at Ford, okay? And just like with the Carrier deal that we covered previously, the entire narrative is bogus, if not outright deceptive. I'll remind you first about the Carrier deal, okay? Donald Trump claimed that he got Carrier to keep 1,000 of the 2,000 jobs that they were going to be moving out of the United States in Indiana. He, in exchange for that, agreed to give them millions and millions of dollars in tax incentives. He would stop pushing the whole idea of the 35% tariff against companies like them moving jobs overseas, et cetera, et cetera. This was a disaster. It was a total farce. It was not, number one, a free market solution that improved economic conditions in the United States. It was a crony capitalist buddy-buddy handshake deal done with one specific company. That is not economic policy. That is not something you can replicate nationally, okay? We later found out from Greg Hayes, the CEO of the parent company of Carrier, that they were going to use the money they were getting from Trump to automate their Indianapolis factory and be able to get rid of even more employees. So the entire thing was a total gong show farce, and I hope most of our audience sees through that by now. Now we have the Ford deal. Okay, so let's dig into that. It's a total house of cards. Ford announced yesterday they're going to cancel a $1.6 billion factory in Mexico. Okay, well, that's interesting. What are they going to do instead? Instead, they're going to invest less than half of that amount of money, $700 million, in Detroit's Flat Rock assembly plant. Okay, good news. This is great news. The initial report from Ford CEO Mark Fields said that they made this decision in part because of changing market conditions with the sale of small cars declining, as well as the pro-business climate that they expect under President Donald Trump. We actually have a quote from CEO Mark Fields where he said, "We look at all the factors, and our view is we see a more positive U.S. manufacturing business environment under President-elect Trump and the pro-growth policies and proposals that he's talking about. So this is a vote of confidence for President-elect Trump and some of the policies that they may be pursuing." Okay, got it. Of course, the reality is that the economic conditions that we now see in the United States have improved drastically under the guy who's been president for 8 years. His name's Barack Obama. But okay, they're predicting even better conditions under Donald Trump. Fine, they're saying it. Trump immediately tweets about it. Trump takes to Twitter, which has become his sort of de facto communication tool. And he tweets, "Ford to scrap Mexico plant, invest in Michigan due to Trump policies," quoting an article from Dan Scavino on foxnews.com. Media reports explode. Trump saves more jobs. Trump, Trump, Trump. Corporate media totally bamboozled by the story. First of all, we're talking about 700 jobs. Okay, just like with Carrier, 1,000 jobs there, 700 jobs here. For the 700 workers who get to keep or get new jobs, for their families, for the small businesses that those workers and families will be supporting with the wages that they'll earn, this is great. Nobody wants to deny that. No one can deny that. But let me remind you that we've experienced record private sector job growth under President Obama, month after month, millions of jobs. Imagine if corporate media covered every instance of 700 jobs created under Obama in this way. This is the way, Pat, in which Trump has really manipulated media successfully, because millions and millions of jobs under President Obama created. Yeah, Bureau of Labor Statistics. Yeah, maybe we trust the numbers. 700 jobs. Media explodes.
There's this great political cartoon out there of a small Donald Trump bragging about the 1,000 or so jobs that he saved at Carrier.
Yeah.
Next to a giant Barack Obama saying, "Hey, what about me? I created 15 million private sector jobs, and what is it now, 80 consecutive months of
Something
private
like
sector
that.
growth?"
Yeah. So if not 80, very, very close to it. But then the narrative started falling apart, right? The Trump thing grew and grew. Ford CEO Mark Fields showed up on CNBC and said, you know what, Trump didn't actually have very much to do with this. He was interviewed on Halftime Report, and he said the decision not to move forward with the plant in Mexico was because of market demand. And this is where it just becomes amazing. He said, the bottom line is we're not seeing the volume and the demand that we expected for that Mexican plant. And therefore, we're looking at our capacity and saying, you know what, we can build that in an existing facility, the one that they already have in Michigan. Over the last couple of years, we've seen small cars markedly decline. We look at our capacity, we're looking at our forecast. Do you guys realize what he's actually saying here? Because Ford is underperforming, they don't need as much factory space as they were going to create in Mexico. So instead, they're going to save money and slightly expand the factory that they already have in Michigan. Hey, Donald, we're not doing well enough to do the big plant in Mexico, so we'll do a small expansion in the United States. Great. Trump victory, Trump the job creator. Does anybody realize what a joke this is? Corporate media exploded with 700 jobs created. This is because Ford's not doing that well that they are doing this. I don't know how else to communicate this to our audience, but it is yet another case. We had the Carrier deal and then now with the Ford deal, where it is not, as the corporate media narrative will tell you, stunning. This is really because of Ford struggling that we are seeing this. Send me your thoughts about this. I'm on Twitter at @dpakman. Today's show is brought to you by GoDaddy, where you can buy your own domain name, build a website, or use any of GoDaddy's business tools. You can save 30% at trygodaddy.com/David. GoDaddy has actually been the official host of the David Pakman Show website for many, many, many years. The 24/7 customer support has been a very good thing for us. I've called them at really odd times when we've had website issues, and they are always available. They are the largest domain registrar, and whether you have a new idea, you're an established business, you're creating a personal website, or moving your large enterprise site over to GoDaddy, they can do it all. 13 million customers. Try it and get 30% off at trygodaddy.com/David.